We're back after like 3 weeks with DBK Sports, and we got a lot to talk about today. As you guys know, in the past week, it's been a busy week. Busy week in sports, right?
Yes, sir.
Busy week in sports. All right, so let's start it off straight ahead. This is going to be a little bit of a different episode because we're gonna skip the top fives for today. We're gonna go straight into just talking about basketball, basically basketball, football, baseball, all that. So we're gonna start off in the NBA, of course, with this. The NBA season starting back up in the bubble, and we're gonna take it to the Eastern Conference, and we're gonna talk about, what team you think that you've seen so far is the team that's going to rival the Bucks in the Eastern Conference to go to the finals.
All right, you want to start off first? Start first.
You can start it off.
The team that I think had the best competition versus the Bucks is the Toronto Raptors. I really picked the Raptors because what had they been doing in the last couple of days in the COVID, and we were doing before the season ended the coronavirus. When they played the Lakers the other day, they holded it started the first two had to 11 points. And the bench scored the rest of the points like 30 points. We had Kyle Kuzma going crazy. Their defense was amazing. Had holding Andy Davis for 3 points. Had LeBron had 11 points, and the rest like 2-1. They also had again a good matchup against the Bucks a couple months back. Where they had Giannis hold Giannis to 19 points. Siakam had 25. OG had like 13. And they also played the Lakers in November 10th, 2019, where they beat them 114-105. Kyle had like 25 points. Kyle Lowry had like 22 points. And I feel like their defense and their offense is great, very great. Their new coach, they had won Coach of the Year for a reason, bringing that Toronto team to the finals and being Golden State in 7. And I really have a possibility they have a very best competition versus the Bucks.
All right. So my team is also the Toronto Raptors. But you just spent time talking about that. I'm gonna talk about why the Celtics are not the team that I think that, are going to beat them. When you look at the Bucks, they have a lot of bigs, obviously, that stop you at the paint. Whatever. Giannis is 6'11", Brook Lopez 7 foot, Robin Lopez off the bench like 7 foot. And then when you look at the Celtics, their one weakness is their paint defense.
Yeah.
As to when you look at the Raptors, they have Siakam to help guard Giannis. They have Marc Gasol to help guard Giannis. Serge Ibaka off the bench to help guard Giannis. So when you look at how the teams match up against the Bucks, I feel like the Raptors match up way better than the Celtics do. Even what's it called? When you saw them play last year in the playoffs, Celtics got ran out the gym by the Bucks, while the Raptors beat them in 6. They did have Kawhi. But when you look at the Raptors this year, you have a much improved Siakam, who really, if he wanted to, he could probably win Most Improved Player for the second straight season. Which how much he's improved. Lowry's playing his best basketball right now, as you saw against the Lakers. He scored 33, 15 rebounds, something like that. You look at Norman Powell, who's also in the race for the Most Improved Player, going up to like 17 points a game off the bench. OG has improved. Everybody on the Raptors has improved from last year to make up for the loss of Kawhi. You see, Serge Ibaka is having his best season. Seems like the Raptors are clicking on all cylinders right now. I feel like the Celtics are the better team, though. It's just the Raptors match up much better than the Celtics do with the Bucks, which is why I have them. And one other team that I wanted to point out is the Heat.
Yeah.
Because the Heat have basically dominated the Bucks both times that they've played them in the regular season this year. They held Giannis under 20 points both times, and they've blown him out the gym. So I think if the Bucks get the Heat in like the second round or something, I don't think that's going to be a cakewalk at all. I mean, it might go 6 or 7 games if the Heat don't win it.
Because when the Heat added Jimmy Butler last offseason to that team, they already knew they was getting into it. When they added him, they knew like they can stop Giannis. They're building around Jimmy Butler. So we build around Jimmy Butler. That's really good because you see what he did. We went to Minnesota. We went to the Sixers. They was playoff teams. He went to the Heat. They're a playoff team. They compete good. They can defend. They can shoot. We got Bam Adebayo, his first All-Star this year. Had a great season. He can do a lot. stuff. He do really a lot. And Jimmy Butler is like really key pieces that they was missing this couple years.
Yeah, I mean, and the other two teams in the Eastern Conference, or the Pacers, they're gonna get swept by whoever they play. I mean, without Sabonis, who is their best player, they're gonna get swept, in my opinion. And then, but when you look at the Sixers, they're a very interesting team, but right now I think they're a little bit too dysfunctional. I don't trust the Sixers even as much as I did last year when they had Jimmy Butler,
Yeah,
because when it came down to the game seven, Jimmy Butler had scored like the last. He scored the Sixers like the last like 10 points before Kawhi
yeah,
made that shot, and they lost 10. Tobias Harris hasn't really stepped up. Embiid has taken a step back from last year. Simmons has been the same over his last 3 years.
yeah.
So I don't think the Sixers really have enough to beat the Bucks as it is right now. They haven't really improved. They've gotten worse. In my
Yeah,
opinion.
once you got somebody like you said that Ben Simmons to have been seen for the last 3 years, you got to improve on that jump shot. That jump shot is one thing that's holding them back. And you got Joel Embiid that's acting like a little female that complains a lot. He ain't getting this, he ain't getting that. So that's also holding him back. And Tobias Harris, he got that money. So he acting a little different now. So he ain't playing the same.
Yeah. So when you look at the Eastern Conference, I feel like it's the Raptors and Bucks, and I could see the Celtics. Like I said, I could see the Celtics beating them just based off of their firepower. They can have four players who can go for 20
Yeah.
any night, and you wouldn't be surprised. And Gordon Hayward, Kemba, Tatum, and Brown. But I think that the Raptors match up a little bit more. I am a little bit worried about Lowry though, because last year he did have Kawhi to rely on, who was a little bit more reliable than DeMar DeRozan. Because when DeMar DeRozan was with Lowry, they struggled a lot in the playoffs, as we all know. So now he has Siakam. Is he going to perform the same as he did last year in the playoffs, or is he going to go back to his old ways? That is yet to see that. But I still believe that they're the best team to beat the Bucks. Although I would still take the Bucks over the field to go to the championship. I know people like Paul Pierce and Kendrick Perkins have been saying that they would take the field over the Bucks as it is right now. But personally, I'm still taking the Bucks.
The Bucks, yeah. I would take the Bucks still. Well, no hesitation.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's switch over to the Western Conference a little bit, as where people see this is the conference where people see our champion coming from in either the Clippers or the Lakers. But yesterday we saw the Rockets have a big game. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So when we talk about the Rockets had a great game against the Bucks today, where it came down to the last couple of shots for them to win the game. I think it was a close game the whole game. We got James Harden going against Giannis, two MVPs. Where you had one possession where Giannis backing down Harden. People say that Harden can't play defense. Play defense on Giannis is one of the best players in the league. Swipe the ball from him like 2 or 3 times, one back transition score. One person that people is very like mistaken missing from that he's a rival team, and you like don't look at him a lot is Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook had a great game last night. He had like 20, 25 something. One of them. But
I think he had 31.
Yeah, 31. That's 31. He had an amazing game last night. He was playing defense. When Harden had the ball, he had the ball. When Harden had the ball, he just waited for Harden to give that pass to him, hoop it up, and bang it. They have a good team, but one thing I say they struggle with is they're small. They play very small. They have no bigs in that team. They traded compared to the Falcon Hawks, and they have Peter Tucker, but I feel like he is not got a lot of rebounds because they're playing small ball. You have Giannis like 6'11" going into the rebound with no effort. That's one thing that these are Rockets are struggling with.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the Rockets, they always have their puncher's chance of winning because when you look at what they do, I mean, they shot 61 threes last night, which I think they hold like the top 5 games for the most threes ever shot in a game. They hold every single one in that record. But when you look at the Rockets, you have Westbrook, who is an obvious upgrade over Chris Paul last year. He's averaging 27, 7 and 7 this year, and he's arguably had the second. He's arguably had the best second half of the season, coming from the first half. He's been averaging a triple double, 30 points and all that. And then when you look at the game last night, they didn't really even shoot the ball that well. I think they shot 36% from three or something like that,
Yeah.
but they shot 60 of them. And when they were playing as good defense as they did last night on Giannis may have put up like huge numbers, but if you watch the game in crunch time, PJ Tucker, James Harden, they all played excellent defense on Giannis at the end of the game. If they continue to play defense like that and put up as many threes as they do, I could see them being a problem for either the Lakers or the Clippers. Because when you look at the teams that they played in the last years, I think it's out of 4 out of the 5 last years, the Rockets have lost to the Warriors in the playoffs. And I don't think that the Lakers or the Clippers are as good as that Warriors team was. So I think that the Rockets have an excellent chance of actually knocking off one of those teams, whether it be the Lakers or the Clippers.
Yeah. Because that defense they had put on against Giannis, I was very impressed by James Harden. If you know, James Harden don't play defense for life, but when he played defense on Giannis, it shows that he had potential of being a great defender. According to somebody that's 6'11", James Harden is 6'5". That's a big mismatch. And he did what he had to do to prove that he can play defense. And that team can play defense. That team could win and expand and win championships.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what they did against the Warriors again. They took the Warriors to 7 games. And like I said, the Lakers or the Clippers are both not better than that Warriors team. So I think that they could very, very easily surprise the Lakers and beat the Lakers. Because over these past few weeks, let's transition to this now. Over these past few weeks, I've slowly been transitioning from the Lakers side of winning the championship to the Clippers side.
Yes.
Because when you look at what they've done, in the bubble, the Lakers have been a little bit slow to get off. They did beat the Clippers, but when you look at their second game, the Lakers got blown out of the gym by the Raptors in the fourth quarter, when the Clippers almost set a record for the most threes set in the game. And if you watch that game, they were not missing from three. I think they missed something like 4 to 5 threes in the first half, made 16. Paul George had 8 himself. Yep. So I am slowly shifting from the Lakers side to the Clippers side. And I also think that the Rockets have a very good chance of beating the Lakers if they do match up with them in the second round.
Yeah, you said the Clippers had set a record that was impressive. So I think Paul George leading that team. When you have players like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard leading your team, they can shoot, they can defend. That's one thing you need on a team is shooting and defending. We look at what Harden did, shooting and defending that game yesterday. They go back to the Clippers, shooting and defend. That's very good. And then you look at the Lakers where they have your ups and downs. You need ups and downs in this bubble. You have to win. You can't just do one game bad, do one game good. You gotta win. It's a competition. And the Lakers, like the Clippers, are taking advantage right now because they're not so popular. You see what they did last night? The Lakers got killed versus the Raptors, so like they got to get together. They have to.
And I'm going to take it one step further because looking at the Lakers in this bubble, I really haven't been too impressed. I think that they are missing Avery Bradley. Their perimeter defense is lacking a little bit, as you saw Kyle Lowry expose them the other night, having 33 points, 15 rebounds. I'm right now at this point in time, I would probably pick the Raptors to beat the Lakers in 6 or 7 games in the playoffs if the playoffs were to start today. Just based off of how they're playing right now. So I think the Rockets definitely are a team to look out for in these upcoming bubble playoffs.
Yeah, I think too. The Raptors and Clippers are probably going to be in the finals if the Lakers don't pick it up.
Okay, but that's the top of the Western Conference. Let's go down to the bottom of the Western Conference. And what have you been seeing in these 8 seed games so far? Who do you think is going to be taking that 8 seed? Because a few weeks ago we made our predictions, and I think we both said the Pelicans.
Yeah.
So who do you think it is now?
It gotta be Portland. It gotta be Portland. When they play that game, the Celtics. They play the Celtics. I'm sorry, guys. They play the Celtics. That game right there was a great close game where it came down to last 2 shots. Was again we had players like Damian Lillard, C.J. McCollum, Gary Trent Jr. They had an amazing game. They could shoot, they could play defense, and they can compete very good. When I was watching the Pelicans play, they in a zone. We got Zion Wilson getting 14 points and 0 rebounds. That's effortless. They not doing that good. You got Lonzo Ball doing some nonsense in the court where he just should be benched on a team. You got the Grizzlies moving 2 games back to back where they're not playing their best basketball. mean, then you got Blazers. They're playing the best basketball. They can lose a game, but they're gonna come back and get that revenge and win the last couple of games to take that AC and go into the playoffs.
Yeah, and I also think that it's going to be the Blazers because when you look at the three main teams who it is right now, because I don't think that the Kings, Spurs, or Suns have a chance. So when you look at the three main teams and the Grizzlies, the Pelicans, and the Blazers, I think the Blazers are playing their best basketball right now. I mean, the Grizzlies lost their last two. The Pelicans look like they don't want to be there when they probably had the best chance of taking it at the start of this. Zion, he's barely played, but in those minutes that he has played, he hasn't really played very good. Lonzo isn't playing up to what he, can. Brandon Ingram's a little bit slow. That team just looks like, they didn't want to be there right now. So that's why I cannot pick them like I originally did. But, when you look at the Blazers, Dame Lillard and CJ McCollum are doing what they normally do, putting up, 30, 20 a night. And then you look at Gary Trent, who is on fire right now. It seems like he can't miss. Like he's the team's third best player right now. Yusuf Nurkic came back. He's already putting up 26 points, 14 rebounds. Son Whiteside's coming off the bench now. He was having one of the most productive years for a big, averaging 3 blocks a game. When you look at the Blazers right now, I think that they're just better than every other team. I mean, the Grizzlies have lost 2 games in a row. They even lost to the Blazers themselves. So I think that it's clearly and obviously the Blazers, even though I do think that they will lose to the Lakers in the playoffs.
But they still put the numbers up where they say they belong right here. They belong to that AC. They would no other competition. That's their spot right there. The Pelicans are just not. They're not competing. Like I don't know what to say. Like there's nothing other to say. They're just not competing. Like Zion Williams is not doing a great residual, or is Zion? I'm at Lonzo. He is not there.
Yeah, and you look at Dame Lillard. He looks like he's already in playoff mode.
Yeah.
They did lose to the Celtics the other night, but that was a game when Tatum had 33, Brown had 30, and Gordon Hayward couldn't miss. They were having a great night. They had like 130 points or something like that. Dame had 30. I mean, even Gary Trent had 20 in that game. CJ McCollum had 20. Yusuf Nurkic had 26. So they are playing their best basketball right now, and I think that AC is theirs to lose as we speak right now. Yeah. All right. So switching over from the NBA, we're going to talk about some baseball now, and how this whole corona thing has impacted baseball. We know that the players originally wanted to play a 100-game season, and the owners they wouldn't agree to that because they know the risk of corona. It seemed like the players weren't really taking corona seriously. But now they might want to take that seriously because they followed through with the 60-game season instead of the 100-game season like the players wanted. And it doesn't even look like the 60-game season is going to last because of the players' unwillingness to play in a bubble. And, we see ramifications of that now, especially in Miami. 17 of their 20-some players have corona. They can't play a game right now. They're holding up the entire league, basically. The Phillies have already moved on to the next game. They had their game with the Marlins postponed. So when you look at the MLB as a whole right now, I cannot see this season finishing personally with all the corona that are popping up. I mean, they're not playing in a bubble. They're just going out every day. I mean, you don't know what these players are doing when they're not playing. You don't know what the coaches are doing. You don't know what the referees are doing. The umpires. You don't know anything. So I don't think that it's going to last.
Yeah, it's not going to last because you see what happened in Miami. Their players test positive. Don't know what they was doing, so you will know what these other teams and players and coaches going to do. What I think they should do is have a bubble. And NBA did it. They had baseball fields down there. They got enough hotels. They should just go down to Orlando, have their little baseball games, 62 games, have their playoffs, and do their business, get their money, win a championship, World Series. But they being different. They're being greedy. That's the word. They're being greedy. They want their money. They want their 100 games. But it ain't gonna last. So there's no point. You get in COVID. It's one thing that's stopping people. They shut these things down for a reason because it's taking over, it's impacting the world. But just doing these 100 games. You ain't gonna finish the season. I don't think they're gonna finish the season.
Yeah, I mean, and when you look at the bubble, I mean, it's not too hard to set this bubble up. I mean, there's plenty of places you can play. You could play in New York, Chicago, California, Arizona. You could set this bubble up anywhere. And yeah, I mean, it's a great sacrifice, to like leave your family for a certain amount of weeks or months, however much it is. But if you want to play your season, it's a necessary sacrifice that you have to make. And it's sad because this MLB season was shaping up to be probably one of the best seasons in a while. When you look at which when you look at what the Yankees did over in the offseason, paying Garrett Cole the most money a pitcher has ever been paid. When you look at what the Dodgers did, trading for Mookie Betts, and then we look at what the Astros did with this whole cheating thing, and you see that they are being thrown at in their games. Pitchers are throwing at them 96-mile-an-hour fastballs to their head. It was shaping up to be probably one of the most interesting baseball seasons in years. But the players' unwillingness to sacrifice and want to play, despite knowing COVID's out there, I think is going to end their season short. And maybe it'll knock some sense into their brains, so they would want to make this bubble.
That's the best thing to do is to make a bubble to protect you, protect yourself, and protect others from COVID. But
Yeah, baseball. I mean, there's like 20 some players per team. Not as much as football. When we'll talk about football later and how hard that's going to be. But when you look at baseball, I mean, they could make the bubble, but the players, like I said, are holding them back, and because the owners and the league officials, they want to help the players out and do what the players want, but it's hard when the players are being closed-minded. They don't believe in COVID. As a result, they are getting it, and their season is not going to continue.
yeah, it's not. Yeah, just all you can say is it's not going to continue at all.
Yeah. All right, but switching over to the football side of this whole COVID and bubble stuff. Could you see this football season coming up canceled? What do you think is going to happen?
I honestly don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that it's going to continue because if you look at it, most of the football teams in which states that are in, the COVID numbers are spiking wisely. Every day they're going up, up. You look at Seattle, they have almost the most cases in the world. So like, you don't want to have senior players, your staff, or like referees go into that one specific city and they all get affected by COVID. So like, you can wear a mask, you can wear all that with your helmet, but what is that going to do? It's not going to do nothing for you. So like, you can't continue a football team or a season where there's a virus going around and spiking and hit you left and right. There's no point of even continuing football this year or the next couple of years if the cases keep rising up.
Yeah, I mean, and we look at football. I think near 50 players have already opted out of this season in favor of sitting home, foregoing their contract for this next season. But creating the bubble for football is something that I really can't see happening because when you look at the NBA, they have somewhere near 400 players in the bubble right now. But when you look at football, football has 1,650 players in the National Football League, plus 10 to 20 coaches on every team, trainers, everything. That's a lot of people. And if you think that it's hard for the NBA to set up their bubble with just like 400 players, it's going to be 5 times that hard for the NFL to do. So, I mean, I think that they are going to go through with the season. They're going to try. I think that they may even get to playing in a few weeks or so. The season starts in a month or like a little bit less than a month. And they haven't had training camp yet. So, I mean, I think that we will get the season. Whether it'll finish or not, I don't know. I don't know because I can't really tell what these players are doing outside if they're really taking it seriously or not, because it's obvious that the baseball players didn't take it seriously, especially down in Miami. So it's hard to tell. I mean, we're in an area where we don't really know what's going to happen from day to day.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah, because you never know. You never know if one player, you see when in Philly, their coach got the coronavirus. Like they need to take it serious. Like you gotta surround yourself. You see that the coach from Philly had the coronavirus. Well, let's take a step back and wait a year to see how it's all going to affect our plan and how we're gonna move forward from this opportunity or this virus. That's one thing that you gotta look at for the future of the NFL and the coronavirus.
Yeah, I mean, everybody wants to play, but Is it worth the risk for the NFL? Is it worth the risk of coming home every day, being in contact with hundreds of people, coming home to your family, not knowing if you contracted the corona or not? I mean, it's hard. This
If
is
it
why
was
you
me,
see, this is why you see a whole bunch of players opting out.
yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? If it was me and I have a contract and they want to play, I'm gonna opt out because my family is my first number one priority. I have to keep them safe. I don't want to go somewhere where they have coronavirus and I go back to my family and my son or my kid or my mom have my wife had the virus. Like that's one thing that you gotta look at. One thing I pay attention to.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was Marquise Goodwin that was on First Take, and he said, because if you don't know, he's one of the players who opted out. He said the reason he opted out is because he has like a 4-year-old child, and he doesn't want to put that child at risk, expose him to something that his body should not be exposed to, and hurt his child. Instead, he is going to forego his contract and not play because he wasn't do that. And I think that there will be over 100 players who follow suit. So I think that they will have a season. Whether it will continue or not, I don't know. But if these players have a tough decision to make because you know you want you always want your money, but
Always.
is it worth that risk that you're taking to get that money?
I mean, most players they're smart, so like they still have money coming in. Even like not even from our contract, they have endorsements and they invested things. But some players they ain't got that, so they gonna have to play to get that money to provide for them.
Yeah, I mean the NBA, they're one step ahead. It's obvious that
No,
baseball is always behind. I mean, as we know, the baseball commissioner Rob Manfred, I think his name is, he doesn't, he never knows what he's doing. That's why nobody likes him. And I mean, we see what's happening in baseball. Baseball's not going to finish their season. College football is trying to get something to work, but with COVID, I think it's kind of hard
so, yeah,
to tell. I mean, like we're in a time where from day to day it could change. As we see in Florida, how they're going through it right now. By like a month or two ago, they were just an average state, and now they are the worst state for COVID. They are setting a new record every day down there. So I mean, you never know what's going to happen.
they need to stop this, but they gotta chill out with this. They gotta chill, man. Stop going to Magic City. Chill out.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best thing would probably just to. I know you want to play, get your money, but the best thing might to just be hold it out, hold out until things get better. You could wear the mask and everything like that, but when you're on the field, you
Can't work.
can't wear it. And then you got the players who think it's a joke, go out there with no mask and everything like that, and ruin it for the entire team, which is what happened down there in Miami. So, I mean, even in the NBA, the NBA is being real safe with it. They're making players quarantine just for getting DoorDash.
Yeah.
And I mean, you saw Lou Williams, what he did. He wanted to go to Magic City and not tell anybody.
Yeah, like that's
I mean, like something just as small as that could ruin the entire thing. Because if he ran into somebody who had contracted the virus and didn't know about it, that one thing right there, he could have spread that to his entire team, and they wouldn't have known. They would have spread it to a different team when they were playing them, and it would just keep going from there. So that could have ruined the entire bubble.
yeah.
So that's why the NBA is being as careful as they are.
Yeah, like
Sports leagues, baseball, they didn't take that approach, and they are already seeing what happens. It's up for it's up to football now. Do what they want to do, but be careful at least.
yeah, very careful. Like you said, they've been being very careful. Like every time they player go into like their room, they have to take a temperature and send it in. Baseball is not gonna do that because he's being greedy. NFL, I have a possibility they're going to be safe, but it's too many players and too many coach staff to maintain to be safe. It's a lot of things going on in football. It's a lot of players, a lot of everything. But in the NBA, you got certain things, certain players, certain teams, and they have a lot of equipment. They have doctors there. They have literally everything at that boat you can think of. They have it there. For the NFL, I don't know because it's too big, too much people.
All right. How about this? I'm gonna ask you a question on the spot right here. Ready? If the NFL season does continue, who do you think will win the Super Bowl? Who's your Super Bowl pick?
This is a great question. Yeah, team. Yeah, great teams, great players looking good. I've been watching this game. I've seen a lot of players doing their thing out there, but I can't see Chiefs going back to back.
Mm-hmm.
they Patrick Mahomes signed that big contract. You had key players, you had good players that had safety for that team to help Tyrann Matthews, defense improvement, offense has already been good, but they're getting faster, stronger. The Chiefs, they're going back to back.
Yeah, and for me, it's the Chiefs too. I mean, there's just no other team that I really trust yet. In the rate, I do think that the Ravens are a better team, but I don't trust Lamar in the playoffs, so I just can't pick them. There's no NFC team that I trust enough in order to pick them beating the Chiefs. I don't trust the Saints enough. They've been there these past 3 years. They were Super Bowl favorites. And they haven't won. The 49ers, I can't trust them going back to back either because they don't have a top tier quarterback. They have Jimmy Garoppolo. So when you look at this, the teams in general, I feel like the Chiefs, they're just destined to go back to back.
Yeah, like you said, you trust the Ravens because I don't trust the Ravens either. Lamar Jackson 2-0, not 0-2 in the playoffs. Got destroyed versus Titans. Defense got destroyed. The Chiefs are just that 1-2 punch. Like you can't go wrong picking the Chiefs to win a Super Bowl again. I don't care what I say. You can say the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got Tom Brady, down, LaShawn McCoy, all them players. They're not competing with the Chiefs. They're not. I'm sorry to say that.
Yeah, but that is if the season continues, of course.
Yeah,
personally, I don't see it continuing. You saw Stephen A. said that he thinks that the NFL is going to have no problem with finishing their season. I don't see the season continuing. But there are people out there who do believe that they will have this season. I'm just not one of them.
Yeah, I'm not one of them either.
Yeah, I don't really see it going on.
Especially too many things.
Yeah, too many variables go into football. It's much simpler for basketball, even though it's not very simple for basketball to create this bubble. It's much simpler for them. They have 4 times less players than the NFL does.
Yeah.
And they have 2-3 coaches. That's NFL has 10 to 20 coaches just on one team.
You got 20 trainers.
Yeah, 53-man rosters.
Yeah.
It's just not possible, really. Yep, but that's gonna do it for this episode of DBK Sports. We'll see you guys later in the week when we return our top 5 series. We're gonna start with the top 5 most underrated players in the NBA. We'll see you guys later.
See you.